Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. Seminar tonight is Mastering Time. How are you all doing? Can you hear me well? If you could just give me a yes as a sound check, that would be great. Cheers. Thank you so much, everybody, and welcome tonight. I didn't write any notes down, so I'll just kind of flow. Tonight is an interesting night for many people, with the energy of the moon dissipating, and now we're coming into a new energy, and a lot of people have felt very heavy these past few days, and some people feel very light. So that leads us to understand that we're all different energy frequency, and balancing our energy frequency is not an easy thing, especially with the change and the shift of the universe, the cosmos. As the flower breathes in and out, as our chest breathes in and out, as the sea breathes in and out, so does the cosmos. So does stars, so do planets. That is one thing that is constant. When you are born in this world, you are born into a world where there is no such concept of time, because time was merely made by man. Looking at time, studying time, understanding time is understanding the stars. So what have we done to hijack this beautiful concept of the sun rising and the sun setting and the moon coming out? What have we done to hijack that? Do you see animals? Do you see trees, plants? Do you see them in any stressful mode when the sun comes out and the sun goes down? This is the transformation of the day. This is the breathing in and out. We see clearly an effect of life and then death, in the sense of lying dormant. We rise as humanity and we fall asleep to re-energize. So this understanding of time has been hijacked, and the concept of time is a myth, it's a lie, it's a manipulation, and to its worst extent, I have seen time not only cause people the most horrendous distress, but I've seen the time energy make the physical body a shortening of that body's life span here. So I've seen accidents happen because of time. I've seen people lose and leave jobs. I've seen people split up from somebody that they loved because of time. A great example is, when are we getting married? Why? Because I want to get married now. Why? Because I need to get married now. Time's ticking. Well, it doesn't feel right at the moment. Can't we just leave it? No. If you don't marry me now, I'm going. Great example. Happened often, to the detriment of the person who was enslaved in that time. It stopped life in this world so many times. I saw it so many times. I need a baby. I need it now. My biological clock's ticking. I want one now. And that process of blocking the physical body to actually produce a child, was that because of this idea of time? It's all to do with time. But time, really, when you think about it, was mastered by the slave masters. You see, if there was no such thing as time, the slave master wouldn't tell you when to be there and when not, when to leave and when not. The slave master needed a set of rules, and we all know what rules do. They're another form of control and entrapment. So we create time, and we take the best of that time from you and leave you with the residue of that time. This is how they saw it. So if you look generally across the board of somebody in the age of 20 to 30, their best time where they produce the most strongest energy is between 9 and 5. So the slave masters know this, and they're going to utilize that. So time is, for me, a kind of death wish. And I like to always say, you know, there's so many clues within time and this timeline and this deadline, which is the timeline. And if you think about what deadline is, it's basically your heart monitor, and the line is going boop because there's no more heartbeat. So everything relates to slavery, taking the best energy from you and leaving you in a place of sheer panic, worry, fear. And that is, without doubt, 90% of humanity who don't even realize this, who have no clue. Absolutely no clue. So when you mention something like this on a seminar or a chat, it kind of makes people think a little bit. Gosh, I never really thought about that. And yet I thought about it for the 20 years that I worked with my clients, because I could clearly see there is a fictitious energy. And that fictitious energy is everywhere. It's in the disguise of many things. Government is one of them. It's just a fictitious energy that we give power to, and thus it takes our power away, and we have no power anymore. And thus it is the master of your life. And I believe most of us fall into that trap through one week to another. And it takes a lot of intuition. It takes a lot of self-awareness to stop ourselves from being pre-programmed once again by those that is the so-called government and rules and system, and this is how it works, to time. That's all connected. So I'd like to say that, to start with, I often use a metaphor, and I often ask people to do something for me so that they can prove to themselves, not me, but to themselves, what I mean by we are enslaved by time. So if you're watching now and you're on a computer, I'd like you to just look at the time. If you're on your phone, I'd like you to just look at the time. And I would like you all to do something for me. I'd like you all to close your eyes just before you see the time and go into a peaceful state with a clear mind. Soon as you've got a thought from your mind, whatever that thought is, I want you to open your eyes again. So begin. Okay. If your eyes are still closed, open them and well done. If you told the truth to yourself and you open your eyes at any point where you had a thought of anything, what's Mark doing, what's happening around, or what's going on tonight, what am I doing later on, and look at the time and how many minutes did it take for you to open your eyes? Was it 1 minute? Was it 30 seconds? Was it 2 minutes? Was it 3 minutes? When I meditate now, I go into a kind of abyss. So I don't have thought. I just see in front of me the abyss of non color, color, and shapes and shifting of energy without thought, just observing and just being still in this peaceful state. I can meditate without thought for, well, I used to do it for 2 or 3 hours when I was fully doing healing work. And of course, it's easier when you're doing a healing session, you're in that same very frequency. So it's easy to go into the nothingness. The point being is, if you looked at the clock and it said 17:41 and you had a thought and all of a sudden you were truthful and you, okay, I just thought of something, you open your eyes and it was a minute after, then what you're seeing is that your mind allows you only one moment or 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever the time was thereafter. So your mind only allows you a minute or two or three before your mind takes over and basically says, what are you doing? You can't do this. You should be listening to me. You should be doing what I'm telling you to do. You should be thinking. Therefore, time and mastering time has a lot to do with your mind. So the illusion that you have the power to sit down and do whatever you want because it's my life and I can do what I want is actually a kind of very clever fooling of yourself by your mind, because I've just shown you now that even if you said you're going to take a day off or a week off, are you really taking a week off? Or are you still busy in the mind, rushing, and your mind is saying, hurry up? So a vital part of conquering and mastering time is mastering the mind and being able to tell the mind to shut up or to be still. So this is something that you could practice and work on, and it takes time, little steps, slowly but surely. There is no such thing as time, so don't look at the clock once you start beginning this. Just open your eyes when your mind tells you. If you want to, then just look at the clock. You might say, okay, I'm doing a bit better. But the whole point is to kind of master the mind in the sense of the mind saying, okay, I know what you're doing now. All right, you can do it. All right, I'll let you do it. Okay, then. It's going to take a bit of time because I'm not used to this. I'm used to me telling you exactly what to do all the time. And I'm used to telling you to think about anything and think about things that ain't even going to happen. So, yeah, it's not really what I want to do. But, okay, you're starting to do it more and more. So I'm going to allow you the time, this moment. So this is a good start. This is something that you could practice. And it's surprising how you will take away many years. You'll add many years on top of your life and take away many of the sufferings, the illnesses, the fears, the worries, and the questions that you don't have the answers to, and you shouldn't. It's okay. So that is a good practice. Now, I'd like to come on to a point where we really feel sometimes the need that we need to bow down to time because of respect or a lack of respect. Because if we don't, there is a lack of respect there, and then we have guilt. This is all attached to time. So I made an appointment to see Shirley, and Shirley was dying of cancer. And I had my motorbike, and I'd finished my last client, and I was late. jumped on the motorbike and started heading down the mountain. It was in the morning, about 11, something like that. And I think I'd finished it with a client, or did I just get up? I can't remember. But anyway, I'm driving down the mountain and I'm late. It's 11 o'clock or 11:30. I need to be there at a certain time. It might have been 1 o'clock. Oh, I'm not going to make it, or I better hurry up. So I go down the mountain, and little be known to me, the night before it rained. And when it rains in Spain, for some reason, the tarmac on the ground seems to lift all the oil from the tarmac, which has been countersunk throughout weeks and months. So as I was going round a roundabout, my motorbike went into full skid, and I fell off my motorbike, smashed my shoulder, and obviously I had to wait for the ambulance to come, and I couldn't give Shirley another healing session, and she actually died, did Shirley. She moved into the light, and which was the most painful and the most guiltiest feeling I had. It's really something great to think about. So my point being is that because time is attached to emotion, and I don't want to let anybody down, it can be the most dangerous. And I do know people have had horrendous accidents because of time. And it goes to show that people often die in cars, motorbikes, because they're rushing. So you have to learn to balance that energy of, I'm going to do my best to get there, but I am not going to rush and cause an accident, or even possibly the loss of my life in this world, and then I'm good for nothing. So I will not allow time to dictate to me, no matter who I'm going to see or who insists I need to be there at a certain time. And when I do get there in the time that I got there at a safe pace, and I tell time to shut up, then if the other person doesn't respect that, then they're no friend of mine, and they're not the boss I want to be working for. So that's how I see it. Time can be altered by your command, in the sense of, I have slowed time down because I became the master of my time. And that's something to play around with. And it does work. And you can speed it up and you can slow it down. It's a matter of thought and putting it out there. So I needed to be somewhere at 1 o'clock. It's now 12:30. It's going to take, I don't know, it's going to take 35, 40 minutes to get there. So I'm going to be late. All of a sudden, I slow time down, and I create the slowing down of time. And in the slowing down of time, I find that everything seems to run smoothly. There are times and moments where I'm in the car and there is somebody in front of me driving at 1 mile an hour, and I go into a state of, it's okay, let it be, it's fine, this is what's necessary, because the person in front, without them knowing, are stopping me from having an accident further up the road. So this slowing down of time is a way to help me along my journey. Most people will refuse to accept that and zoom past, and at times there can be accidents, and a lot of people don't ever see that. A lot of accidents happened when they were actually being slowed down by the universe. So, a wonderful thing to try and do, practice, is when anybody tries to stop you from getting to a place, be thankful, because it could just be Spirit's helping hand. So that is another powerful way of being the master of time. So this is something to be practiced, and this is something that we have to control. So time is our friend. Time is our energy that we control, and we have the choice. We can allow it to control our life, or we can control time. I have the power over time. It does not have the power over me. And if you have an accident because you are rushing to get somewhere and you're in hospital, then just remember this message. What was more important, the time or now that you're in hospital? It's a very easy thing to weigh when you're in hospital. Very easy to weigh, and you realize that it was the biggest mistake you ever made. And Mark Bajerski learned from that mistake. One of many, and I'm sure there'll be many more mistakes. But maybe if you're watching this tonight and you're like, I wonder why I'm here. Maybe, just maybe tomorrow, next week, or next year, something will come back to you inside your consciousness and remember these words. And instead of thinking, I'm going to pull out on this motorway, past this car, or on this bend, or on this blind spot, or this blind hill, whatever they call them, so you can't see, and you pull out, and then there's another car, and you think, thank God I didn't do that, because I would have been on a head-on collision. And thank you for me being here to listen to this message tonight. If you actually step back and look at time, you can see that it's a disaster in most people's lives. It's a disaster. People don't love time. They fear it. They don't embrace it. They use it for so many things, which is derogatory. I'm going on a diet. How long for? So you take time with the diet and you realize that both of them are wrong. Life should be the journey, not a finishing line. Time isn't about getting there on time, because the whole of your life will be the same actions without even knowing. I need to be there. What for? I don't know, but I need to be there. I need to go here. What for? Don't know, but I need to go there. So you can clearly see people are going crazy. They're itching to go somewhere and do something. I've got to get there. I've got to go, because they have no control of time. We're all to blame. We are all in that same energy, because the black screen does this. The system does this. We are manipulated daily, constantly, to fit into the system, so that we feed the system. We rotate the wheels and the mechanics of the system by playing this part. At the end of the day, there's only one person who can master the time that you have, and that's you. Nobody can teach you to do this. I can give you ideas and thoughts, but ultimately 90% of you will go back to doing the same thing, because there is some flaw in this bodysuit and mind that reacts like a rabbit. And the rabbit, as you know, likes to run up and down the same path every day, feeling safe and secure. So for me, there's certain things that I like to do to shake off that energy, to to just break that pattern. And that is every now and again to simply stop, sit down, and just be. Sometimes I will stop, walk out of the door for no reason, and go for a walk. Just go for a walk, break the day up. See, the issue we have is it's so easy for me to say this because I'm self-employed. But it wasn't an easy thing to become self-employed. It took a lot of hard work. So when people say to me, it's easy for you to say, and I'll say, well, it wasn't. I had to break that pattern of jobs. And I'm not doing these jobs anymore. I am not going to be told what to do. Well, Mark, you're a bit hypocritical. You've got staff working for you. Don't you expect them to be there at a certain time? Well, we've got things to pack. We've got customers to please. So we have these things called commitments. But do I look at the watch and say to my staff, what time, what the hell do you think you're doing? What time do you call this? And no, you have to stay on. You need to work longer and harder. What do you mean you're going out for a coffee? What do you mean you're doing? No. I'm no slave. So we all can still manage time, and we can all still be the master of our time. And I think it's a great practice to do that every now and again. So this is my understanding of time. It's my understanding. Do I think time is dangerous if you are not aware of time and what it is and what it can do? So ultimately, everything that I do in a day is to conquer time and to just make sure I tell it, don't, just calm down. Get back down there and relax, Mr. Time. Yes, I know what time it is, but you, my friend, relax. There is no fear attached to time. So if I'm writing a book, there is no time. If I've got a project, there is no time. If somebody wants to do a project with me and says it's going to be this time, I say there is no time. I'm not really going to do that. No, I'm sorry, because I don't work like that. So, and they'll say, well, we need some kind of aim. I said, yeah, no problem. We can aim for, this, but don't hold me to anything, because I'm not going to be controlled by time. So I won't allow that into my life. And maybe I've lost a lot of opportunities from that. But I tell you what, I've never felt healthier, stronger, and more in control of my life. And those that try to do that to me and create that energy, what they live in, they look 10 times worse, older, haggard, knackered. They look a mess, and they just don't know where they're going and what they're doing, and they're still doing the same thing. So I recognize this as a healer, because that's what healers do. They stand back and shut their mouth and listen and watch what happens in the healing session and in the reading, and they feel and they understand why that biological clock is ticking, and why they're not married yet, and why they haven't found love yet, and all the reasons where really time is to blame. Because if you truly master time, this is how it would go. I will meet the right person exactly when I'm meant to. Get it? Therefore, you are mastering time by saying you have no relevance in this conversation, because you are not God. You are not here to put fear into my life by making me worried about one day to the next. So those who chase time normally chase fame, fortune, chase greed, wealth, all sorts of money, big houses, fancy women, and chasing a fancy car, chasing faster, faster, faster. And it's really all to do with time as well, because they haven't mastered their life. What I noticed was when people started mastering their life by bringing faith back into their heart, which means a belief that they are more powerful and that their life is a beautiful path and it's a journey that cannot be rushed. And if it is rushed, you will miss everything. And when you get across to one person and they start to get it, the penny drops and they start to understand time. What I found was the most greatest healing taking place, the change in energy. And by changing from time enslaving you and being the master of your life to you being the master over time, then your body heals. Less fear, less worry, less anxiety. ADHD disappears. Anxiety gone. Depression disappears. Because a lot of times depression comes because of the what ifs and when, how. And when is always due to time. So there's always a when in the conversation. And there's a fear attached to lost time. There is no lost time. There's no such thing as lost time. If I'd have just done this, I could have been this. If I'd have just married this person back then where I made a mistake, I could have been that person. No mistakes at all. Exactly where you are right now. Where you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be. This is why I always use these phrases, because there was such a pattern of time disrupting our life and causing us pain and suffering and imprisonment and enslavement that I try to break that pattern by saying, where you are right now is where you're meant to be. But more importantly, where you're going to be taken from this moment on is exactly where you're going. You eliminate time. It's gone. There is no fear of time anymore because you've now put the relevance and the focus on, my God, where I am right now is where I'm meant to be. How many times do you walk out that door and never look around you as you're walking to where you're going? Your only focus is to where you're going, and you miss everything. But if you say to yourself when you walk out that door, where I am right now, each step I take is where I'm meant to be. It gives you that opportunity to release time and the fear of where I should be going and what I should be doing. And I need to do it faster now. I need to get there because we've been programmed to be an automaton robot, to obey and comply by this idea of time. You've got to cross the finishing line and you've got to be first. It's all very clever and it's done deliberately. So I ask you, everybody, I want you to be honest with me now. Do you really believe that where you are right now is where you're meant to be? It's a simple question. So we have one yes. We have two yeses tonight. We have three yeses. We have four yeses. We have five yeses. You see, like anything in life, if I want to exercise and be fit, and I want a nice chest or biceps or triceps, or calves, I can't simply look at the calf and say, I want you to be big, or my biceps, I want you to be big. I have to get up and practice. I have to exercise. I have to lift weights. So this is exactly the same thing. It's just on a different scale. It's on a different energy frequency. There is a muscle in your mind that is very powerful. Imagine the muscle in your mind is really strong, is powerful. And that muscle in your mind is an energy that frequents all your body life suit. So it's the master of your body suit. It's going to take some time for you to work on your heart and start exercising the heart so it becomes stronger, more powerful, and that you listen to it more than you do your mind. And I would say with anybody who's saying no, I appreciate your honesty. And I honestly believe on my hand on my heart that if we know that we just haven't mastered time and we don't trust that where we are is where we're meant to be, you're very close to mastering it, because at least you acknowledge that something inside you is causing that. And I say that time is a cause which is connected very much to this muscle in the brain, which is constantly giving you fear, telling you you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're never going to get there, it's too late, it's going to take too long, I just don't know where to start. And that's the power of your mind. That's the muscle that you've exercised so much that it's as strong as Arnold Schwarzenegger was when he was in Terminator. But now there is a way to counteract it. And the simple steps are to start strengthening the muscle inside your heart. The stronger the heartbeat, the more you breathe in and out, the more your chest expands and detracts, and the more you work on that energy, the more you will hear the message. And that message is really simple. Where you are right now is where you're meant to be. So I don't ever sit down anywhere and think I should be somewhere else. I've exercised this so much that I don't have that fear. I don't have fear of time at all. I actually manipulate time and use time to work for me. And it does. It truly works for me. And I enjoy now the time of strengthening my chest. And those times are when I'm sat in the sun and I did what you just did a few minutes ago, close your eyes and not think of anything. And the more you do that, the more you start to smile. Because the more you are in tune with this beautiful trust energy that has no connection to the fear of time, it is this warmth that starts to expand, and miracles happen because your energy becomes a glowing golden light around you, because you're not fearful of where you should be or not knowing where you should be. Like the rabbit, if it moves off its track, it's in fear. I say, shake yourself up and move off your track and shake yourself up. Go somewhere where you would never have thought about going. Do something that you would never have done before. Break the pattern of the rabbit brain that you have. And these things really help. Are you more important than your job? Are you more important than your partner? Are you more important than your children? Are you more important than the holiday? Are you more important than the house? If the answer to any of them is no, I'm not, then you are already losing the battle of time and of your life. Your children are extremely important. But if you don't place your importance more than them, then you'll probably find that you'll be too sick or too ill or heading to the spirit world or ending up being in a bed sick, because it's vital that we realize that we are the most important thing for everybody around us. And it's quite easy to understand. If I am really, really happy and I really love myself and I am really important and I give myself the time which belongs to me, and I tell time to do what I want it to do, to feed me and to keep me strong and safe. And now time is my not only best friend, but my advisor. And it helps me. It says, it's okay. We don't need to rush. And if time doesn't force you, then guess what? You live a longer life. Your children are more happy because you are shining a light like a battery at 100%, than if you are imprisoned by time and you are fearing time, and then your energy frequency is 10 or 20. And your children will pick up that energy and mimic that when they're older too. Your children will always mimic what you are and what you do, not what you tell them they should do and shouldn't do. So it's important that we take time for ourselves. I'm not telling you to run off to India to a kibbutz and meditate in silence for 6 months. I don't believe anybody needs to do that. I mean, some people need to do it more than others. There was once a king that left his children and his wife and sat under a tree for 18 years. I don't see that man as any more special than you. In fact, he probably needed it more than you. So this idea of having to meditate for years and months and weeks, it's not that necessary. What's necessary is you taking the time every now and again and saying, this is my time, but not to do it where you are angry or where you feel guilty. You take time because it's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure because you feel happy that you're taking that time, and this is my time, and I don't have guilt for this. There is no guilt attached to it. It's because not only do you deserve it, but it's part of the journey of life which we've lost. You weren't here to master time per se. You weren't here to be enslaved by time. Time is an illusion. It really isn't there, but because we live in this matrix, this system program, we have to step into it every now and again. So it makes sense to master it, although we shouldn't have to. Just like you don't see an animal run like crazy only if there's a lion chasing it. Other than that, where it is where it's meant to be. Yes, it's always listening for danger, but you don't see the birds going crazy because it hasn't built its nest in time. You don't see a mother going crazy because its children need feeding. It goes and does its best and comes back, but it isn't a sense of time. So the urgencies that we created now are an illusion. Of course, there are times where you need to get somewhere because somebody's fallen down, like your child, and you need to get them to hospital. That is a completely different energy from what I'm talking about today. But this is my understanding. This is my truth over these 2 decades of how I believe I have come to master time and it not affect me like it did before. And I do believe it was heavily connected to stress. It was heavily connected to IBS and the downfall of my relationships too. So that is my feeling. That is how I feel about time. I am the master of time. And I, from this moment on, will challenge myself, and I will challenge my mind, and I will go into my heart and exercise that beautiful light, which we call the inner flame, that we keep burning and making stronger and brighter and more powerful by giving it the opportunity to express, to speak to us, to give us information, because we work on the brain energy, 90% of people. And within a lifetime, we may experience a fraction of our trueness of who we are, our real genius of who we are, our knowledge and wisdom, which is who we are. We, as a collective, work through the mind, which has been programmed by the system, which has killed the consciousness of who you are. So your consciousness is living almost in a suit that cannot express itself like it was meant to. And this is through poisons as a baby. This is the programming of schools to this moment where we are, from the bosses, the teachers, the leaders who tell us what we should and shouldn't do. So I wanted to share tonight with you, from my heart to yours. I hope you appreciate this short but lovely. Was it short? Was it long? Or was it just the right amount of time that we needed? You know, for me, I don't judge on time neither. If I'm with somebody for 5 minutes, I take that 5 minutes as the most beautiful 5 minutes. If I'm with somebody that might seem too long, I'm grateful for the time that I'm with them. So I don't measure time as most people do. So these things are all relative to the appreciation of life, and that we all need to conquer. So I hope you've appreciated these moments together with me. And I hope you've taken some golden nuggets from the knowledge that I've learned from my clients. And I wish you all the love and all the time and all the illusion of time. And I want you to hold on to the reins of time and imagine it as whatever it as you want it to be. Imagine it as the greatest and most powerful energy in the world that will help you along your journey, but that you are in control of it, and you tell it when to go and when to slow down. See it as huskies, see it as reindeers, see it as wolves, see it as unicorns, Pegasus. See it as what you want, but see it as part of being wholly with you and joint with you, and it's your energy within your energy, rather than something that is the enemy. And I think that is vital. So I'm wishing you all a lovely evening. Till tomorrow. Thank you, Brendan. Thanks, Patsy. Thanks, everybody. Love you all. Peter, everybody. Take care. A thumbs up. Good stuff. All right, guys. Catch you later. Got some lovely news tomorrow. I'll share my lovely news tomorrow with you all. Something that's blown me away today and really made me feel so good. Take care. Bye for now.